Okay, so we're live recording, and if you guys are able to get your audio video working, great. If not, ask questions in the chat, and I can go ahead and answer those as I see them come up. Okay, great. So this is our homepage. Obviously, you don't want to spend much time here. You want to jump into the toolkit. So up at the top, we have a consistent navigation that you can use on any of the web pages. So the LTA Toolkit, that's going to be for the free pro and the team users. And then we have shop, digital teacher guides where you can just learn about a variety of different topics in education, specifically literacy, adolescent literacy, reading, speaking, and writing strategies. And then eCoach is our weekly newsletter that goes out during the school year. And that is full of wonderful information. So you definitely want to take a look at that. If you have a free account that you'll be able to sign in and see everything that I'm showing you, but you'll have limited access. And one way to know the difference between a free account and account that is pro is that this hand right here will be glowing multiple colors. If it's a free account where you'll have limited access, it will be opaque or white, and that means that you're not going to be able to have everything that I'm showing you. You'll be able to see it, but you won't be able to open things up like certain handouts and presentations. So I'm going to jump right to the toolkit, and this is your dashboard. So this is where you can find your tools and resources for teaching, reading, speaking, and writing. And then our newest addition last year was an assessment tool inside the LTA classroom. So on this page, it really is a place for you to get started. It depends on your focus. If you guys are focused on state literacy standards, you would click here in this button. If you are focused on reading for the year, you would click on reading or speaking and so on. If you are interested in planning materials, that's where you would click in one of these buttons here. And then if you were interested in targeting specific skills, we have outlined 9 essential reading skills that, or literacy skills, sorry, that you guys can start with. The purple are the reading skills, the green is going to be the writing skills, and then this blue color here is going to be the speaking skills. So you could start anywhere on this page. The dashboard is a great place for you to jump off and get started. I'm not going to take you through all of this. There's just too much to do that, but I'm going to kind of take you to some of my favorite places and show you how I use the resource. So the first place I want to go is reading lessons. No matter what grade you teach or what class you're actually teaching, the subject matter, you guys are all teaching reading at some level. So reading lessons, when you click on that link, it's going to take you to a new option. You can read for information or you can read narrative text. Because most people I speak with in education are focused on reading nonfiction, not only because of their content, but because that's what we're starting to turn our attention toward. I'm going to click on reading informational text or reading nonfiction, and it's going to take me to the reading informational text page. Now, oh, yeah, I'll wait. The Toolkit Pro is the resource that gives you access to everything. The Toolkit Free is only going to give you access to, I think, 4 different reading strategies, and we have, or 4 different literacy strategies, and we have up to 60. The Toolkit Free also only gives you access to a couple sample assessments. The Toolkit Pro allows you to build as many assessments as you want for your students. So there is quite a difference between the two. The Pro, of course, it has a price, and then the free, you just sign up and you have it. I would imagine teachers who are using this at your site probably have the Toolkit Pro, I would imagine. Right. So that's called, yeah. So there's the other one I haven't mentioned because I knew you weren't interested in that, and that's the Toolkit Team. The Toolkit Team, if you look on the screen, that's this one right here, right next to the Toolkit. So the Toolkit Team offers a whole different set of resources, team sharing of formative assessments. We provide about 24 assessments for each grade level, and then your district can look at that data, or your school administrators can look at data, whereas the Toolkit Pro, you don't get those extra assessments. You do not have the data sharing. So the Toolkit Pro is the one that you would probably be most interested in for individual teachers. So to recap, we have the Toolkit Free, which anyone can log in and get, and that gives you 4 literacy skills and all the materials that go with that. One is Socratic Seminar. We wanted to give that one away because that one's so highly used. The second one is writing argument or opinion writing, depending on your grade level that you teach. And then a couple of other ones, summary writing. So those are on the free, and then that's it. That's all you would pretty much get. With the LTA Toolkit Pro, the next version, that's what I'm talking about right now. The LTA Toolkit Pro, that's going to give you access to the things I just mentioned, plus all the others. Yeah, you're welcome. Would you like me to continue? Okay, so let me just go back because we took a little pause there. So when we went on the LTA Toolkit Pro page, we clicked on reading, and in the reading page, we were able to make another decision to focus in on the skills that we're trying to teach. So reading informational text or reading narrative. So I'm gonna click on reading informational text, and there's this diagram here that's very helpful. A lot of people, when they get on a web page, just scroll down and start looking. You want to stop here for a second just to understand what this is. We provide a prompt builder, but you can use your own. We strongly recommend that you start a reading with a prompt or a task so that students have a purpose for reading. And of course, that task needs to align to the text that you're reading. So you would need to find a text as well, but we have resources to help with that. And then you would teach our reading process below. So what we love at LiteracyTA is that teachers, we went into this knowing that teachers love their curriculum. They love the types of texts that they get to teach. And we did not want to replace those texts. We did not want to say you need to teach these texts and throw out the ones that you love and are passionate about. So we are a framework that can be used to teach any text. So you start with a text and then you teach our framework or our reading process. In this case, we also have a writing process. So here's what I really love about this. When you scroll down, you will see our 5 steps. You will also see that you can easily move through the different grade levels, 4, 5, 2, 3, K1. And you can see that the steps are the same, but of course, as the kids get older, the steps become more sophisticated. What they're expected to do become more sophisticated. There's less guidance. And then when they finally get into middle and high school, there's much more language and harder questions, much more critical thinking questions here. On the right-hand side are 5 skills. So these skills correlate and directly connect to these 5 reading steps. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, organizing and cite important information, understanding your reading task. And then over on the right is a lesson that teaches step 1. And then a lesson that teaches step 2, and a lesson that teaches step 3, and so on. So you can have the confidence of teaching a strong literacy lesson if you follow this process. All you need is a prompt and a text. What I love about this even more is that if I click on getting started right here, this drop-down arrow, what shows up now is a number of different reading purposes. So if I want my students reading collaboratively, that means I've got an active group, or I want my kids talking more. Maybe they're not active and they need to be more active. I'm going to click read collaboratively. And if you looked at the screen, all of these skills refreshed into skills that are collaborative in nature. So now I'm still following the 5 steps. This hasn't changed, but the activities have. So what I'm basically saying to you is that you have multiple lesson plans based on your reading needs right here in this one interaction, in this one tool. If you want your students to read for structure, you click on reading for structure, and now look at this, analyzing visuals in a text, summarizing main ideas, analyzing text structure. So you now have skills for analyzing text structure. So this is an amazing resource for you guys when you are teaching reading and trying to figure out what is your focus, what is your purpose. And then, for instance, if you're teaching reading skills or research skills, I'm going to go ahead and click on this, and it's going to give me my research skills that I need to teach. All the while, it's following what good readers do. It's following this research-based process that you can count on. You can feel confident that you're following this great process that's going to help readers become independent, and you have the activities to do it. So it's a really, really great space on the website. And I'm just going to cut to writing because it follows the same pattern. So I was in reading. Now I'm going to go to writing, and it's going to do the same thing. You need to start with a prompt. You need to select the writing type, and then you teach the process. And our writing is a 3-step process. And so you can see it there, 1, 2, 3. And these now relate to steps 1, 2, and 3. And if you have a different purpose for writing, you can click on it. So writing argument, writing informatively, writing research, problem solution paper, cause and effect paper, and so on. All you need to do is click on one of these focuses, and all the skills will refresh. So if I click on writing informative, now I have building a reading and writing plan, informative essay writing plan. You probably are synthesizing the claims that writers make, and then editing marks, which are amazing, great for school-wide implementation for helping students become better writers. And then one of our flagship resources is the peer review groups. We have spent years and years developing this. It's absolutely phenomenal. We believe that kids should be a major player in the revision process, and that teachers shouldn't be going home and doing all the work and giving kids the marked up papers that they then fix at a surface level, like students. This is all about how to get kids to become more independent and student-centered when it comes to the writing process. And we have a number, dozens of resources to help you with this peer review process. So all I did, it's very simple. From the toolkit dashboard, I clicked on reading or I clicked on writing. That's all I did. And then you get access to all these different resources. And clicking on speaking then, of course, is going to take you to something similar, except we don't have a drop-down. We just have these 3. So do you want to engage your kids in academic discussions? Do you want to engage your kids in in-class presentations or in collaborative activities? This in-class presentation piece I'm just going to jump into real quickly because there's some really cool things in here that you guys will want to use this year. In-class presentations, I have 2 that I absolutely love. One is called the high 5 presentation, and the other is called the 1-minute speech. As a practitioner, I was struggling with having my students give classroom presentations. I felt like they took up too much time And I felt like the quality of work that they put into it didn't match the amount of time we dedicated. And so I came up with something that where my kids could speak more often, but that the presentation would not take up 2 or 3 days of my instruction. So it's called the 1-minute speech. It's fully templated if you need it. It's scaffolded. We offer tons of scaffolding for your kids and for you as you learn the different skills and strategies. And then we have one called the High Five. And this comes from a business that just focuses on positive and effective PowerPoints. And we took their kind of philosophies or beliefs and we made it our own, and it's called the High Five presentation. And basically students follow this to make better PowerPoint presentations, because as we all know, kids put too much stuff on the slides. They put, there's too many words on the page. They read right from the page or from the slide. And so this High Five presentation fixes all of those issues, which is great. So this was, again, very easy to get to. You click on the LTA Toolkit, and then you click on Speaking. And what is it that you want to do? Do you want to have your kids in an academic discussion? Well, a presentation is not a discussion. So it's an in-class presentation. So High Five using PowerPoint or Google Slides or something equivalent, or just doing the 1-minute presentation. You click on it, and then you can choose your different skills. So that's just the 3: reading, speaking, and writing. Now, if you guys, can you answer me this? I'll spend time on it. If not, I won't spend time on it. Are you guys working with the Florida Sunshine Standards, the literacy standards? Okay, so either way, if you click on state standards, this is going to take you to a completely different side of our website, but it's going to link all the skills in a way that makes the best sense for you and for the standards. So now we're going to go in with a standard view. So I can click on my state. So if you wanted to click on Florida, you could, but don't, because that's not the standards you want. You're just going to want to click on Common Core right here. So by initiative, Common Core. Now, just so you guys know, and I'm sure you probably are aware of this, most of these states use Common Core. They just call it something else, and therefore they say they're not Common Core, but they are exactly Common Core. For example, California state standards are not called the Common Core, but we in California use every single word of the Common Core. Most states do that exact same thing. So click on Common Core, and this is fantastic. I can choose now my literacy standard, all right, reading, my grade level. Well, I'm a 7th grade teacher, and now something new popped up, content area. So then I can go, okay, I'm a 7th grade, English, information, or history. I click on history. So reading 7th grade history, and I guess it's social studies, right, for middle school typically. And then I'm going to click go. And now this page takes me to the Common Core 7th grade reading standards for history and social studies. Do you see this? It's absolutely phenomenal. And when you scroll down, it's by standard now. So you can see the standard, RH1, Reading History 1. This is the 7th grade version. Actually, it's 6 through 8 is how they work out in the 7th grade. So 6 through 8. And then here are the skills and activities to teach to address this standard. And then we've linked up e-coaches as well that, remember, these are our newsletters. So we've linked up our newsletters that match up with this standard as well. And then to go one step further, see this little link right here? It says break it down. It's right underneath this maroon cube here, this icon. You click on break it down, and it's going to take you to a breakdown of R1. And it will talk about what R1 is about and how to teach it and what specific language we should be focused on. And then we link skills right next to it over here on the right side column. All this area, oh, can't make it do it, I guess. All of this area over here on the right is where we can, you can find links. And then we give a graphic as well to kind of help you understand what this standard looks like graphically. So that's in the break it down. It's really, really nice to have. every standard has it underneath, break it down. So there's RH2, break it down, RH3, break it down. And then there are the skills and activities that go with RH3, and then the e-coaches that go with RH3. This is a great resource for teaching standards. Some of your teams are standard focused, meaning that they say, this year we're going to focus on 4 standards. Some of your teams are focused on literacy. So they're saying, I want my kids to be able to actively read. So based on what you, good feedback. Based on what you are, what your focus is for your PLC or your grade level team, you can attack it by Common Core, or you can attack it by the literacy skills. So let's go back to the toolkit. So now you've got reading, speaking, and writing. Those are your literacy skills. Or remember down here, you have your 9 essential literacy skills as well, where the purple is reading, the green is writing, and then this blue color here is speaking. These are just other skills that we pulled out of our library of skills that to get you started. But you could jump right into the full reading set, the full writing set, or of course the standards. Yeah, readings 3 through 5. Okay, so one of the things that you definitely can do, click on reading. It's gonna be a lot of nonfiction, and the skills are gonna transfer anyway to fiction as well. But I would want you to camp here, and then you've got your 2-3 band, and you've got your 4-5 band, and you can. So for our 2-3 kids, some of the things that they struggle with is reading and making predictions. Reading and making inferences. And so if you click read and predict, watch what happens here. This is a fantastic lesson. You've got analyzing prompts, predicting the main idea. Then you've got pausing and predicting. So as you learn new information, what is it you think is coming next? Then making inferences, and then finally a sequence of events organizer. So this is a great lesson to address a huge need in students at this grade level 2-3, and that is making predictions or making inferences while reading. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So one of our key strategies that we have for active reading or close reading, a lot of this, by the way, is close reading, as you guys know. But one of the main ones is marking a text. And so what I clicked here, I'm in grade band 2-3 in the reading section, and I just clicked reading for main ideas. And you definitely want to train the students on how to ask questions while reading. That's a major component of active and close reading. And then marking a text would be the next. So marking a text, you might have heard of this in other schools, or you might have heard of this from the AVID community. But this is a strategy that I picked up after looking at professors at San Diego State while I was lecturing there and seeing what they were doing and the decisions that they were making. And I wanted to take the concept of annotation and simplify it into 2 to 3 marks, one being underlining and one being circling. So if you click on marking a text, so I can now drop you into the actual skill page. So when you click on marking a text, you're going to see the lesson plan for marking a text. So number 1, plan your lesson. Number 2, teach the skill. 3, differentiate and support the skill. And then assess and track growth. Every one of our skills has a rubric. So you can actually grade the literacy skill itself. Instead of always grading content, you grade the literacy itself, which is really cool. This is what marking looks like. This is a student sample. I think this is a 3rd grade student sample. I would say in this particular example, there's too much that's been circled. There's too many things that have been circled, but that's going to happen. You're going to have people who overcircle and you're going to have people who undercircle, and they'll just get better and better at understanding what words to circle. We don't care about words they don't know. We care about words that are important. So we don't have students circle words that they're unfamiliar with. We have them circle words that they need to know for comprehension. Here's the instructions. Very clear handouts that you can photocopy now that you guys have license. You can photocopy these, you can make them into posters and put them in your classroom. You have 100% of our permission to do that. Every one of our grade bands has a different mascot, if you will. This is Drake the Dragon. So it's very friendly and very easy to read. We design these for visual presentations. So they're very easy to look at, they're colorful, they're appealing. So we did this because we thought teachers would want to project these in their classes or open them up on their computers. But then again, you can also photocopy these as well. And these are the instructions. As you go up, you'll see it get more complex. But what's nice is it follows the same rules. The rules become more complicated. The rules become lengthier. The understanding of the material becomes more complex. So this is our mascot or a character for 4-5. And then the sweet K1 is our darling little forest creatures, owls and squirrels and whatnot. And so you can see how we simplify it. Now here's another thing. If you guys have special needs students who have maybe visual needs, that too many words on the page confuse them, they don't have, maybe they're struggling with dyslexia, you can go down the grade bands for your kids as a way to support special needs. So that's nice. And the other thing is true, you can go up. So you can go up if you've got a 5th grader that's just doing really, really well and you're ready to push the 5th grader, you can use something like this. And this is for our middle school and high school. So you can push the kids, so you can differentiate up as well instead of differentiating down. So scaffolding up is a theory, or not a theory, but a kind of philosophy of our own at LiteracyTA, that we want to scaffold up as often as possible. I'm just reading some of the notes here. Text structure. I'm glad you guys talked about text structure, because text structure to me is one of the most important reading skills you can teach students. So we call it analyzing text structure. I'm going to show you a 4th way or 3rd way now of accessing our resources. Just type in what you're trying to do. Type in the Common Core language. So analyze up in the search bar, text structure. We don't have silly names for our materials. Everything is named basically what it is. So you can rest assured that what you type in here, you should find. So this is analyzing text structure, and this is our search page. And look, you can see how quickly it comes up. R5, which is the text structure standard. Here's our skill, analyzing text structure. Everything here is about analyzing text structure. So that's a really nice way up at the top to find things, is just to type them in the search. So analyzing text structure. If your kids can explain how an author has constructed meaning through rhetorical patterns, which are cause and effect, definition, exemplification or examples, process, sequence of events, if they can do that and also explain how the page is broken up by subtitles and titles, they are doing much better than kids who have no concept of how structure is actually used in writing. And then as a wonderful benefit, as students learn to read for structure, they become better writers, because their focus now is, how do writers construct meaning, and then how do I as a writer construct meaning? So we spend, this is another flagship resource that we have. The peer review is one of them, marking a text is another. This is a 3rd one, analyzing text structure. We have some pretty amazing resources here for analyzing text structure. And if you want to go down into your 2-3s, we have an excellent resource for that as well. And then our 4-5, which I like the most in the elementary, I'll go ahead and open that. The 4-5 is really nice because it takes them through the 2-3 as a reminder. We don't just ask them to identify, but we ask them to explain what the purpose of these features are. So there's captions. So what is the purpose of these captions? Visuals. What is the purpose of these visuals? And then underneath, they start to get into the fancier term, what's called rhetorical patterns, which I just mentioned. But we don't say that here. We don't want to scare anyone at the elementary level. So analyzing text structure, here's some text structures. Process, chronological order, compare, contrast, cause and effect, definition, classification, narration, or a story. So this is another, this is level 2 of having our kids analyze text structure. Now, if you feel at 2-3 that you want your kids to go to the next level, you want them to go beyond titles and maps and bolded words, then just choose the 4-5 material, which is right here, and use it, and that's fine. Your 2-3s are going to be just fine using something like this graphic organizer, or creating a graphic organizer in their notes. So text structure is huge, not only just for their own close reading ability, but like you mentioned here in the Spire reading test, very, very important, because it's really about them thinking about the text and how ideas are put together. Instead of it just being what is the main idea of the text. Although that can be difficult for kids, understanding how that main idea is developed and produced is extremely more difficult than just telling us what the main idea is. And then, of course, there's some conversation here about science. There's at least one teacher for science, and so all of these things obviously fit into science, but let me get into something that's a little bit more specific. So I'm going to type in marking a text, because science has structure as well. Science has a structure to not only the science articles that are written, but in lab reports, everything. I mean, there is structure in everything in science. And so students can use the same resources to analyze science reading. But let's go into marking a text, and I'm going to click on down here where it says practice skills in all subjects. It says across subjects down below. If I click on across subjects, what this is doing is showing me marking a text for fiction, for history, for math, for informational text like argument, poetry, and then this last one is science. And here's what's great about it. I'm going to scroll to the top of this page right here, sorry. And it says circle, underline, bracket. If you can teach your kids to actively read by circling, underlining, and bracketing specific information, they're going to have a process and a way of active reading that can be rehearsed, that can be practiced, that can be transferred. If you guys all come up with your own, they can't be practiced, they can't be transferred. But if you can do something consistently, then your students have a better chance of retaining it and a better chance of using it in the future to help them be better readers and then eventually better writers about what they're reading. So in science, this is what you would circle here. And then what you would underline, and then what you would, of course, bracket. So this is just one example. We don't have cross-curricular maps like this in all of our skills, but we have quite a few. We do have quite a few that will help. I'm going to show you another one just so you can kind of see. There is a reading called investigative reading. So I'm going to go back to the LTA Toolkit, and I'm going to click reading. And I want my kids to talk. I want my kids to talk about the reading that they're doing. So I'm going to click on here, and then I'm going to scroll to my different reading purposes. Remember this? I clicked on the toolkit, I clicked on reading, and now I have different purposes for reading. And I'm going to click on, oh, and by the way, there's reading for structure. So if you wanted a full lesson for reading for structure, you would click on this and you would have your full lesson. But I'm going to click on reading collaboratively. And when I click on reading collaboratively, there's this skill called investigative reading. And by the way, just so the science people in the room, the one above it is the one that all of my science teachers, and I train hundreds, maybe thousands of science teachers a year across the country, this is the one they love the most. It's called Read 1, Speak 2, Write 3, and since I've talked about it, I'm going to open it. It is absolutely phenomenal. Here's the problem with reading in science. It's hard, and the kids don't understand what they're reading. So this has built-in reading, writing, and speaking in a sequence that helps them process information as they read it, and it's very graphical. So you've got read 1, say paragraph or passage, speak 2, that's pair share, and then write 3 ideas about what you just read. And they do this for 20 minutes or 30 minutes in a class. So if you've got a science article or you're reading the textbook or one of the science workbooks, you can have the students read something, maybe part of a page. I think a whole page might be too much, but it depends on the grade level. But they read 1 passage, they speak 2, that's pairs, and then there are sentence starters here, and then they write 3 ideas about it. And my science teachers absolutely love this. And they love it because it allows the students to move in from a quiet activity to a discussion, back to a quiet activity, and it works on their reading and it works on their writing. It's just a great flow. Well, in addition to that, on the same page, if I click on my reading collaboratively, I've got my read 1, speak 2, write 3, but then I have investigative reading. And as a science teacher, we have given you investigative reading for science. You can see on this page, practice skills in all subjects, fiction, history, science, math. And then for 4 or 5, we have questions that could be used in science or in an English class or whatever. Because remember, I'm talking about nonfiction. So what we're reading in an English class or what we're reading in social studies, the types of questions we ask should align to the same types of questions that you ask in science when we're talking about comprehension. There's so many other things I can show you. I just don't want to, I'm sure you may be at overwhelming, you might be at saturation point right now. I don't want to overwhelm you, but so instead of going deeper into these resources, because you can go a lot deeper into this, I'm going to take you to the LTA classroom. And I'm going to take you to the LTA classroom and show you how we support you through this. There is a lot going on in this area. If you have free, you don't have access to much of this, but if you have the pro accounts, which I think you guys either have or will order, I'll show you the power of this. Okay, hold on one second. I'm going to read this text here. Okay, do you want me to pause? Got it. Okay, the LTA classroom is very easy to get to. I'm going to take you right back. So I'm in the toolkit, I'm in the dashboard, click LTA classroom. And on this page, there's a pencil up here. We took this idea from Google. Google has trained us. If you guys are a Google site or if you have used Google Drive or Docs, they've trained us to look for a pencil. The pencil is the good thing. It tells us that we can edit. What I really like is when you're making a change on this website, you never have to leave the view of the website. You can add material and then you can see what your kids see and you see what you can see as an editor or as an owner of the page. So I click on the pencil and this blue editing bar pops up. So one of the things I'd like you guys to do is tell us your prefix. So Mr., Miss, Mrs., Doctor. Tell us the state, tell us your grade, and then save. And what we're going to do is make changes throughout the site that match this information, which is really cool. Then We have a number of demo videos that we'd like you guys to watch, the little recorded webinars. They're not very long. Maybe the longest one is 8 minutes. Most of them are 2 to 5 minutes. And it just helps you understand what's here in the LTA classroom. Okay, so there's quite a bit here, and we've made these little videos for you to help you. But here's what's great. Sorry, when I click the X, that means that I'm going to go back to student view. And if you can see when I hover over the X, I don't know if you can see that or not. If you hover over the X, a tooltip comes out and it says student view. And when I hover over the pencil, a tooltip comes out and it says teacher view. So right now you're looking at the student view, which means it cannot be edited. Your kids have access through our handbook up here in the top to all of the skills that I was talking about, guys. All of this they have access to. They can print them. They can bring them into class. You can assign them to, on Chromebooks, iPads. They have access to all of these resources, which is fantastic. You can build classes, and then once you build classes, then you can start assigning lessons. You can start assigning assessments, but you have to build a class first, and that's all in our tutorial. So that's all there. And then resources. What's really nice about resources is that you guys have websites that you go to often, and we are allowing you to add those resources to this page. So I can click my editing, and then I can click new resource, or you can choose our recommended resources. So we give you really great websites that are not ours. There's Trex in here from Google and Padlet, Socrative, which is a great Socratic seminar add-on, create a graph to create bar graphs, line graphs, pie graphs, and then it creates a PNG that you can put into documents, which is all part of Common Core. So these are great resources that you can just add right into your resources section in the LTA Toolkit, classroom. So you've got your student handout, you've got your classes, and then if you want to create an assessment, what you would do is you would click teacher and go to assessments, and then you can now build an assessment and assign it to your class. Going back to your statement about close reading and preparing kids for Aspire and all of that good stuff, one thing that our assessment does that no other assessment tool does is it mimics authentic reading experiences where kids are not given multiple choice. They have to choose the answer in the text. So let me the free and pro accounts, they'll say that you get that. Let me just go into one really quickly. It says identifying metaphor. I'm going to go ahead and review it as a teacher. So the kids would see this, okay? The biography of a Chinaman, 1903. It says, the engines that moved the ship were wonderful monsters, strong enough to lift mountains. Notice that there isn't a multiple choice option here. It says use the marking tool to identify the metaphor. So the engines that moved the ship were wonderful monsters. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and say, well, I'm maybe right, maybe wrong, but I'm going to choose engines that move the ship were wonderful monsters, and I'm going to go ahead and mark it and see it turn green. That's my answer. That's my answer to this question. And I'm going to press next, and it's going to auto grade it for me. You see that? Instantly auto grades it, and it's going to give the kid the answer. So you could see there's a darker green behind this. That's the answer. So it shows that, yes, this is correct, gives them an emoji, tells them a positive thing, gives them their score on that one question, and then I can rate my confidence level, which the teacher will get. Then I can say, I feel confident. Now this is a message that's going right to the teacher. I feel confident about metaphor because we studied them last year and I understood how they are used or whatever. And then I press save and next. And here's what's really, really exciting. As a teacher, even though this practice is just one question, you can have multiple questions. I now get what the student answered. I get the auto grading. I get the student confidence level, and I get the student's response to me. I get all of that data for each question that I ask. Guys, I can tell you as a practitioner myself, it has absolutely changed how I teach and changed how I deal with data. Because up until my creation of this, I didn't really have a good way of dealing with data, and now I do. So the data results that you're going to get. So let me show you kind of what the package looks like. Let's see, my assessments. And then I'm going to go ahead and look at one. So this is what your, oh, I might have cleared these kids out. Okay. Let's look at one where there's kids. Oh, these are not mine, that's why. Writing central claim. Let's see if this one's in here. Reading argument practice. Let's see if this one is in here. Okay, good. All right, thank you for being patient on that one. So you're going to get what's called a stack graph. As I hover over this, it will tell me different information, how many kids scored a certain percentage in my class. Then I'm going to be able to get, let's go into a certain period. This will tell me what their average score was. This is going to tell me what their confidence level is. And then I can look at the individual questions. I can drill into each individual question. And then also, I can drill into individual students. I can see a student say, okay, let's see what Kota has done with this test. And now this is all Kota. So here are his questions. Here's his score. Here's if he answered them or not. Here's how much time it took him to answer each question. And then I can go in and say, well, what did he choose? See this? And then I can now see this is what he chose. This is what should have been chosen. I can leave him a message, and I can read his messages that he's left me. So all of this data is here for the teacher, which is just fantastic. And our goal for this is to assess what you're teaching them. So if you're assessing students about text structure, you're assessing them on marking a text, you're assessing them on summarizing main ideas. If you're a science teacher and you're assessing them how to find evidence in a text, well, you would use one of these, you would build an assessment, and all you need to do is when you start a new one, just click new assessment, and you would drop the text. I'll show you here. When you are in editing mode, you would drop the text right into this space here, and your directions are simple. Use the marking tool to identify what. So identify evidence in a text, you press save, and you have your first test question. It's very, very easy. But remember, if you go back to the main page, you have all these videos on the right-hand side to walk you through building an assessment, assigning it to a class, building a class, assigning kids, all of that will be here. All of your questions will be answered. Yeah, I'm going to pause, and then we're going to probably wrap up here in just a couple minutes. No, it's okay. Yeah, I get it. Currently, what you could do is you could transfer texts if they're already in a digital space or digital form. You could transfer those texts into our assessment tool by copying and pasting, and then asking different types of questions. Instead of saying, pick from a list below what the main idea is in a text, you would just say, use the highlighting tool to find the main idea in a text. So there would be a little work. We do not have any merging capabilities at this point. So then my recommendation would be to start with a few of them just to see how they go and to see how they compare to the current tests that you guys do have. I will tell you that the authentic, as I began talking about this, the authentic reading experience where it mimics real world, where they have to actually identify something in a text with no tips and hints, will change your data dramatically. Almost drop it 40 or 50% in the beginning, because they're used to choosing the best answer from a list versus actually knowing how to read. But don't be afraid of that. Allow those shocking scores to come in. And then as they get better and read more carefully, because a lot of these questions, they don't even have to read to answer them. They can just answer them based on your lecture or based on what makes common sense. And so that's how kids take tests. With our assessment tool, they actually have to read, and they actually have to understand, and they actually have to have a skill set. Does that help you with your merging question? No. But as of right now, it's pretty much our tests, and then the ones that you make, and then you would just want to copy over some of them that you currently have. Yeah, so remember, there's videos to watch. There's e-coaches to read. You guys could probably go back the last 2 months and pick some of those up. I try to make them as entertaining as possible for you guys and short. So there might be things that you just want to read about, things that are going on in a classroom, new releases of resources, materials, anything like that. We're always growing. We're constantly adding. So there's never like a time where, yeah, I've figured it all out. You know, there's so much here to always look at. So I feel that this is going to be a good fit. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I'll pause and then I'll kind of say my closing remarks. Okay, perfect. Thank you guys for your time. I'm sorry I wasn't able to see your faces. I can go ahead and show you mine, I guess. Maybe, yeah, there we go. So this is me. So thank you for your time. Thank you guys for being interested in our resources. Please let me know if you have any questions along the way. If you would like to email me, you can. My email is jonathan@literacyta.com or jonathan@LeMasterEDU.com. That's my training company, LeMasterEDU. So if you guys wanted to talk to me about anything, please do. We're very approachable, reachable, and if there's something you would like to know more about, let us know. There's videos to follow up on. This is going to be recorded and sent to you. Denise, I'm going to send this to you through email, and then you can take that link and you can send it to your staff for those who missed and for those who would like to rewatch. That's just a great perk that Google has added. So yeah, you're welcome. Have a great year. Hopefully you guys can add a few more of the toolkits to your staff if you feel that's necessary. And then maybe next year you can think about doing the LTA Toolkit team because again, it's that data sharing, and we give you a number of resources and tests that you guys can use. So thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. Have a wonderful school year, and we'll be in touch. Thanks.